NMA Speech Contest has 4 primary purposes. The first purpose is to promote a better understanding and awareness of leadership attributes by our high school students. The second purpose of the contest is to involve youth in researching, writing, and delivering a speech on leadership. Then the third purpose is to provide youth with an incentive to develop communication skills that are so vital in the contemporary workplace. And then the fourth purpose is to provide winning students with financial support for their further education. So, with that said, let's introduce contestant A.
Hello everyone, and good evening, respected judges. Leadership takes shape in many different ways. How can we truly understand what being a leader means in today's society? Merriam-Webster's dictionary defines a leader as someone who ranks first, or a person who has commanding authority. But rather than dissecting into words or phrases to what the word leader means, the best way to understand and answer this question is by examining some of the most influential leaders of our time. Today, we'll take a look at 3 influential individuals: an entrepreneur, a freedom fighter, and an average working American. I believe that by observing the qualities of our greatest leaders, we can gain insight on some of the universal qualities that constitute leadership. One of the greatest entrepreneurs of our time was the late Steve Jobs. He was, without a doubt, a great leader. 2 attributes that Steve Jobs embodied were his amazing visionary skills and his ability to inspire others. The passion and intensity he had for his work motivated his colleagues and staff, inspiring them to become not only great engineers, but artists. He motivated his staff to think about their products as works of art, therefore encouraging strong craftsmanship and a sense of pride in their work. The minimalistic but elegant and intuitive design of his products serve as a lasting reminder of not only Jobs' struggle to achieve perfection and execute his vision, but his ability to drive others to realize their fullest potential. It's these leadership qualities of Jobs that makes Apple great, that makes him great. But contrary to the popular belief, Steve Jobs didn't single-handedly design, build, and market each and every Apple product. But what he did do was cultivate passion and dedication within a team of individuals who believed and still believe in his vision. His words resonate with the entrepreneur in all of us, inspiring everyone to dream big and think differently. To stay hungry, stay foolish. But strong vision and great influence aren't the only 2 qualities great leaders possess. Other attributes include effective communication skills and extraordinary confidence. These become necessary when leadership extends not just to a company, but to an entire nation. None other than Mahatma Gandhi greatly exemplifies these leadership qualities. His policy of nonviolence helped to free India from the imperialistic rule of the British Empire. His simple words inspired millions of people to fight against the British government. His national movement, Satyagraha, or the insistence of truth, was a strategy to stay true to one's ideology and act peacefully, irrespective of the treatment received. Gandhi often fasted for many days, sometimes even without water, to solve the local riots in India. He had immense confidence and courage that motivated millions of people to become strong freedom fighters themselves. But the strength of his communication was not solely through his simple words, but his honest and influential actions. It is no wonder that he is regarded the father of nation in India today. But a great leader doesn't need to be an entrepreneur or a freedom fighter. Everybody knows at least one leader near or dear to them. To me, my dad is a great leader. He was raised in a small village in India and came from a lower middle-class family. When my grandfather died, my dad took the responsibility to take care of the family when he was only 16 years old. Even though he was the youngest of 4 children, he made sure that his 3 sisters were well educated and settled in their life. He took care of his mother, who was a chronic asthma patient, while working part-time and studying in school. Even though he faced many challenging situations throughout his journey, my dad never gave up and worked hard to achieve success. Today, he's a proud working American and a successful computer engineer. He understands the value of education for poor students, and therefore is an active member in a leading nonprofit that helps provide financial aid to these students worldwide. He always inspires me and constantly pushes me to do my best. My dad is my leader, my idol, someone who I can always look up to. But why does this matter? What practical application and value can we get out of simply talking about great leadership? Regardless of where a leader comes from, the most important thing is they significantly impact our lives. Whether it's revolutionizing today's technology, freeing a nation, or simply raising a family, a leader exists in every shape, size, and form. Rather than dwell on the semantics of the word, we should all look towards who we consider our own leaders to be, learn from them, and become positive, inspirational leaders for others. We all have leaders within us. We just need to realize this inner strength and make a positive difference in somebody else's life. In the words of Winston Churchill, the best example of leadership is leadership by example. Thank you.
Today, thousands of Americans are giving money to support impoverished children in Africa, enabling them to receive an education that would otherwise have been impossible, an education that will allow them to break out of generations of poverty. This was all made possible by the actions of one 18-year-old girl from Nashville, Tennessee. In the next few minutes, I want to tell you about 2 inspiring young leaders who turned their passions into action and ended up changing the world. Katie Davis was a popular high school senior, top of her class and homecoming queen. And during Christmas break, she took a missions trip to Uganda. That one trip, volunteering at an orphanage in Africa, would change her life forever. Although Katie returned to Tennessee and finished high school, the people and the land of Uganda had stolen her heart. She had developed a deep passion, flowing from the depth of her being that she could not shake. But unlike many people who have a passion and do nothing, Katie Davis turned her passion into action. Taking that first brave step, Katie moved to Uganda for a year, teaching kindergarten to local village children, immersing herself in a culture she didn't know, with a language she couldn't speak. She poured herself into helping the people of Uganda. Despite the challenging and lonely times, Katie's passion burned. Just like Katie, I believe everyone has a passion, a calling that stirs inside them, a fiery desire to make a difference. Few will listen to it, and even fewer will act on it. A leader, however, takes the first steps to answer the call, and in that moment says, "I'll do it." Katie Davis is now 24 years old and lives in Uganda. She has adopted 13 beautiful little girls and has started a nonprofit organization called Amazama Ministries that now enables hundreds of children to attend school, provides much needed medical assistance, clothing, and food for the community. Because Katie took the steps to pursue her passion, thousands of others are now following her lead by supporting her work in Uganda. Katie's leadership is changing the world. John Quincy Adams once said, "If your actions inspire others to dream more, learn more, do more, and become more, you are a leader. Another example is Austin Goodwin, who at only 9 years old turned his passion of playing basketball into action. Moved by a video of a young girl in Zambia who had lost her parents to AIDS, Austin had to do something. He started a nonprofit organization called Hoops of Hope, a basketball shoot-a-thon to raise money to help the people in Zambia. Today, Austin is 17, and over 40,000 kids in over 20 countries have shot hoops in his program, which has now raised over $2 million, all to provide a school, 2 medical clinics, 2 dormitories, and a water project in Kenya. Austin's leadership is changing the world. I found my passion in my own small way. You see, I believe that many in my generation are becoming disenchanted with the direction our nation is heading. And a few years ago, with help from friends and family, I co-founded a nonprofit organization called I'm Tomorrow that helps preserve the principles of freedom, translating them into a language to reach my generation. In my own small way, I'm changing my world. What's your passion? Are you following it? Maybe as I've shared with you the stories of these incredible young leaders, you've been moved to take that very important, courageous step, to follow your passion, to lead. It's never too late. Today, our world desperately needs individual leadership, desperately needs courageous men and women, desperately needs the grit and determination seen in the great leaders who came before us. Today, our world needs us, you and me. We have a responsibility and an obligation to work together in the fabric of our society, fulfilling our purpose with passion. You don't need a title to change your world, and you don't have to move to Africa. You simply need to find your passion, the passion that springs from within like a calling. Find it, put it into action, and when you do, others will be inspired to follow. Thank you.
We're off to see the wizard, the wonderful Wizard of Oz. Because of all the wonderful things he does. Or does he? Come along with me as we not only explore this 20th century classic, The Wizard of Oz, but also the different roles of leadership displayed all throughout the movie. Each character had the same opportunity, such as each leader came into Oz through some pretty peculiar circumstances, such as on a hot air balloon while advertising for the circus, having her whole house blown into this magical world because of a twister, or riding around her broomstick, terrifying everyone that crossed her path. Each leader had the same opportunity, yet each chose a completely different path. So come along with me today down the yellow brick road as we explore the first type of leader, totalitarian, or the Wicked Witch, the West. The Wicked Witch led out of fear, violence, control, and self-serving desires. We can first see how she led out of violence when she threatened to set the Scarecrow on fire, threatened to make it rain on the Tin Man, and we can also see how she led through fear when as soon as she entered the scene, all the Munchkins bowed down at her feet out of complete and total fear of her. Many leaders in our world today have those same goals as a leader. Instead of building their people up, they tear them down instead, just like the Wicked Witch of the West. So come along with me down the yellow brick road into the Emerald City to look at the Wizard of Oz himself. The wizard, towards the end of the movie, when Dorothy's dog Toto removed the curtain, everyone was surprised to see that the wizard was just a regular old man. Nothing special. Yet, throughout the whole movie, the wizard sat behind his large curtain, making himself sound more powerful, more distant than he really was. Don't get me wrong, there was nothing wrong in the Emerald City. Yet, the wizard was never there for his people. Remember when the gatekeeper told Dorothy that no one had ever seen the great and powerful Oz himself? He was removed from his people. He was never really there to be a true leader. The wizard used a leadership style of an authoritarian, where instead of using others' ideas that were around him, he used his own instead, all throughout the Emerald City. Now, let's continue down the yellow brick road into looking at the ruby red slippers, or rather, what was inside of them. Dorothy. Dorothy's the kind of leader that isn't really fit for leadership, especially in the 20th century. For starters, she was a female, and to top it off, just a teenager. Many people may not consider Dorothy to be a great leader, but she really was. Towards the end of the movie, Dorothy showed her friends that what they'd been searching for all along was waiting just inside of them. She gave them a heart for others, a brain to lead, and courage to stand up to the tribulations along the journey. Dorothy also showed her own courage. When she stood up to the Wicked Witch, when she threatened Toto, where she stood up to the lion when he threatened herself and her friends. She showed her own courage to the Wizard of Oz and even to her own self, all throughout the journey. Dorothy used the leadership style of a democratic leader. She allowed those around her to help make the decisions along the journey. She gained the love and the respect of all of those around her, from not only her friends, but also the ones that she met along the journey. So, which type of leader actually is the best? Is it totalitarian, authoritarian, or democratic like Dorothy? When this totalitarian leader, or the Wicked Witch of the West, finally came to her demise, all the people around bowed down to Dorothy and said, "Hooray! The Wicked Witch is finally dead." Or authoritarian, the wizard. Don't get me wrong, there was nothing really wrong in the Emerald City. Yet, when Dorothy pointed out the wizard's flaws, he finally changed his ways and became more understanding of those around him. He became more of a leader like Dorothy. Or is the best leader Dorothy, the democratic leader? Dorothy, throughout the journey, gained the love and the compassion from all those around her as she showed it herself. She showed her friends that what they've been searching for all along was waiting just inside. She was the leader that set a good example. At the end of the movie, it wasn't the ruby red slippers that got Dorothy home. Yet, the characteristics that she showed as a true leader. Because of all the wonderful things it does.
You hear it. The sound of a train crossing the tracks. The year's around 1937, and you are in Nazi Germany. The icy screams pierce your ears, and you realize the train behind you carries an eerie cargo. Humans, Jews to be exact. You've only heard rumors about what happens to them after they exit the train. But one thing is for certain. They are headed to their deaths. They know it, and so do you. Will you say nothing in their defense? Will you turn your back to them and walk away? John C. Maxwell, in his book Develop the Leader Within You, writes this, quote, "Leadership is a choice you make, not a place where you sit. Anyone can choose to become a leader wherever he is. You can make a difference no matter where you are." Author Gerald Mullaby, in his book The Leadership Ladder, says this: leadership is a battlefield. There are oppositional forces, obstacles, challenges, and problems that leaders have to courageously face and overcome in order to be effective and successful. One of our country's greatest examples where an individual made this type of courageous choice to speak out in the midst of a great battlefield was that of Martin Luther King Jr. He fought for the civil rights of the African American people and was arrested, physically stabbed, stoned, and beaten on many occasions because of it. This is what he said, quote, "The ultimate measure of a man is not where he stands in moments of comfort or inconvenience, but where he stands in moments of challenge and controversy." So let's take a closer look at this very important virtue of leadership called courage. There are 4 things I'd like to discuss with you today. First, courage starts within you. Leadership begins with the leading of oneself, and life, as we all know, is not fair. You and I are going to face difficult things in our lives, and we will react in one of 2 ways. We will either retreat in fear or face these challenges with courage and audacity. Courage is the quality that a leader must build, develop, and stir up within him or herself in order to face these challenges boldly. Second, courage in a leader encourages his or her own people. When a leader shows courage, others become motivated to do what they need to do. This in turn helps those individuals to overcome and move beyond their current circumstances. This courage also gives people a reason why they would want to follow their leader. Third, courage drives away fear. Fear is the ultimate hindrance to success in leadership. When one chooses to have courage, it does not mean that fear is absent. Rather, it means that the individual takes action in the face of fear and does whatever he or she needs to do. By doing so, this act of courage actually drives away the fear that once tried to hinder the individual. And fourth, courage enables leaders to break new grounds. It takes courage to create major changes, and in most cases, there is a fierce opposition that arises when these changes are introduced. In 1990, after having spent 27 years in jail, Nelson Mandela was elected president of South Africa. Not only was his country facing high unemployment and crime rates, but severe racial challenges as well. The black majority did not get along with the white supremacists. In an effort to counter this, Nelson Mandela convinced and worked directly with the white captain Francois Pienaar of the country's rugby team. Together, the 2 of them united a nation that had been torn apart by 50 years of racial tension. Mandela shared a poem with Pienaar that had helped him get through those difficult 27 years in jail. The ending goes like this: "Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how straight the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul." So be that master of your fate. Be that captain of your soul. Like the recording artist Mandisa says, sometimes you've got to go uninvited. Sometimes you've got to speak when you don't have the floor. And sometimes you've got to move when everyone else says you should stay. Be a leader. Take courage. You were born for this.
Did you know that more than 100 years ago, the head of the United States Patent Office petitioned the President of America to close the patent office down? The gentleman thought everything which had been invented already had been invented. Fortunately, President William McKinley used wisdom, and he declined the request that would have halted innovation in America. Aren't we glad President McKinley took a stand? The 20th century was a century full of tremendous growth and creativity led by entrepreneurial leaders. It was a generation full of people who led our nation into great and unknown places. Try to imagine life without electricity. No electricity means no car, no computer, and no cell phone. Some people find it very hard to picture a life without technology. It has become such a large part of our lives that we hardly even think about it much until it stops working. I am a child of the 21st century, and when my grandma told me that when she was my age she didn't watch television, she had no microwave, no clothes dryer, no dishwasher, and no garage door opener, I felt so bad for how tedious her life must have been. I remember saying, "Grandma, those are called the good old days? Don't you think we're living the good old days right now?" Of course, I was only thinking about technology. I guess I am a little technologically spoiled, but is it not true that our lives have become more fun, trouble-free, and organized because of the inventive minds that led our nation into the future? On an everyday computer, you can access unfathomable amounts of information, have video chats with business associates, shop till your fingers drop, buy or sell just about anything, get a college degree, and even find a husband or wife. Now those are the good old days. I am astonished when I take a step back and realize just how much technology is leading the way of American life. I am a child of the 21st century, and technology has been the most consistent part of my life for as long as I can remember. I cannot help but want to be a part of our nation's creativity. I want to be a successful entrepreneur, innovator, and leader. But as a 17-year-old with just an idea of starting a new business in creative balloon traveling, I know that I have so much more to learn. How will I build it? Name it, test it, and pay for it? I suppose I could have read self-help books or Googled how-tos, but I wanted to talk face-to-face with real entrepreneurs. So, during this past year, I've spoken with several business leaders in my own community and asked them plenty of inexperienced questions. Like, who inspired you to reach your dreams? What kind of obstacles did you overcome? Why did you never give up? And how did you pay for your idea? After that, I began to research famous entrepreneurs, and I began to notice that business leaders in both small and large companies share common characteristics which are essential for success. Sam Walton took huge risks in establishing Walmart, but he was always optimistic he would succeed. Orville Redenbacher persevered over 40 years producing the finest popcorn Americans could buy. Mark Zuckerberg evolved social networking when he created Facebook in his college dormitory. Entrepreneurs are creative, they are innovators, they are persuasive, and most importantly, they are leaders. Throughout all of my research, I was most intrigued by Steve Jobs. He once described himself as the captain of product design. He worked hard to teach his employees leadership skills and to make them feel like family. He continually motivated his employees to let their imaginations run wild and to invent things America just didn't see possible. Jobs' visionary leadership created life-changing products before Americans knew they wanted or needed them. Now that we have the technology, how could we live without it? Steve Jobs led the way, and we followed. And now that I think about it, I'm a risk taker. I'm taking a risk by doing this speech. I am optimistic, and because of some of my life challenges, always looking up has become a part of my nature. I am a person who perseveres, and I know this life is what we make it. And just maybe adversity makes us stronger, right? As a young entrepreneur, it is my hope to help inspire young people like myself to rise up and to reach their dreams, and more importantly, to help our country succeed. Even though my idea of starting a new business in creative balloon traveling is not yet a product or service, I know I must provide value and high quality. But if people can produce smart cars and smartphones, then why can't I produce a smart balloon? I believe I can. I believe I will. In fact, in just a few years, I will invite you all to come along with me in my beautiful balloon. It will be an adventure. Oh my, the places we'll go and the things we'll see. Don't worry, I will lead the way. Up, up, and away. Oh, and Mr. President, please don't close the patent office. I plan to be there very soon with my incredibly smart balloon.
When facing a crisis, what would you expect from a leader? In every leader's path, one way or another, there will be a crisis mountain blocking their way to achieving their goal. In order to get over the crisis, a leader must be able to make it to 3 camps: persistence, decisiveness, and passion. A little more persistence, a little bit of more effort, and what seemed hopeless failure may turn to glorious success, is how Ebert Hubbard, an American writer, explains persistence. Persistence is the base camp a leader must reach on their climb over Crisis Mountain. With persistence, you can break through barriers, fight against fear, tackle tough problems, and rise after rejection. Walt Disney persisted. He faced many obstacles in his quest to lead in animation and entertainment. He did not always receive words of encouragement from the people around him. Despite the negativism and his own failures, Walt Disney did not give up. Thanks to his persistence against his Crisis Mountain, you and I can enjoy the thrill of a ride on Disneyland's Space Mountain. That is, if you consider dizziness and nausea a thrill. The persistent leader leads with the attitude, "I will never give up," and inspires their followers to have the same mindset. With such attitude, the leader and the team can make it to the second campsite: decisiveness. Decisions, decisions, decisions. They make all the difference in your life, my dad always says. A leader is continually faced with the option: do something or do nothing. Doing nothing in a time of crisis will cause you to lose your leadership position. A crisis situation demands that you do something, do it differently, and do it quickly. Only the decisive leader can meet such demand. Richard Sears and Alva Roebuck were the founders of the department store, originally known as Sears and Roebuck. They started off a small catalog business that became quite successful. As times changed, Sears started losing catalog business. Their founders decisively opened their own Sears stores and became the place, as their one-time slogan stated, "Where America shops." If the company leaders today had been as quick and as decisive as the original founders, then Sears might have returned to its original business model: a catalog business online. In a business crisis, decisiveness can make all the difference between the success and failure in a project. The faster that technology advances today, the quicker a leader must be in making critical decisions. Finally, to scale a mountain of crisis, a leader must be able to reach the peak of passion. Nobody can be successful in his work unless he loves his work, said David Sarnoff, the pioneer of American radio and television. It's impossible to make something a success unless you truly have the passion to make it one. When faced with a series of challenges, one must be persistent and decisive, but they should also remember the passion they have for their work. When a team sees the passion and motivation a leader has to complete a task, it encourages the rest of the team members to strive to do their best. Passion is incorporated in the popular burger franchise, Wendy's. Apart from their delicious burgers and Frosties, Wendy's displays passion through their charitable contributions. Dave Thomas, founder of Wendy's, displayed his passion for serving good food to consumers. He also had a passion for serving his community, which he showed by hosting promotional events. Even though it was stressful work, he never once forgot that it's not just about the money making in a business. It's about the passion and love that you have for what you do in life. Dave Thomas continued to display this passion until his death in 2002. These three camps, persistence, decisiveness, and passion, lead up a crisis mountain. Reaching the first camp, a leader shows persistence by being able to get over obstacles. As they continue to persist in climbing the grueling crisis mountain, a leader demonstrates the importance of being decisive in order to survive. And finally, when he or she reaches the peak of passion, an individual proves his or her credentials as a crisis leader. A crisis mountain seems always to find a way to block a leader's path to success. But with these three qualities, persistence, decisiveness, and passion, they can overcome it.
I have a confession to make. I used to have a big butt. Actually, that's an understatement. I had a huge butt, a badonkadonk. It was enormous. Now, before you all start shaking your heads at my severely unprofessional statement, I'm going to do something really quite controversial right now and say that everyone in this room has had a big butt too. To add insult to injury, everyone we know has had a big butt. Let's see if we can recognize these butts. But I'm not good enough. But it's too hard. But the Real Housewives of some state of America is coming on tonight. But I'm black. But I don't know what I'm doing. But. No matter how much denial we may be in, we all have big butts. Big butts are pessimistic. We cannot be optimistic leaders if we look at the thorns and look past all the beautiful roses. I agree with newscaster Paul Harvey when he said that there has never been a monument erected for a pessimist. A positively stubborn attitude can oftentimes make the difference between happiness and misery, between health and sickness, and even between life and death. If positive thinking could accomplish those miracles, then I choose to believe that the successful leader must assuredly be an optimist. This evening, I want to assure you all that successful leaders have chosen optimism as their choice to make. Actually, optimism makes better leaders. No buts about it. Those who choose to be optimistic transform into successful, life-changing leaders. So what exactly does one need to do to become an optimistic leader? Optimistic leaders do what I would like to call the leader stand. They stand up, they stand out, and they stand strong. They stand up by looking for the best within themselves. They stand out by looking for the best within others. And they stand strong by fighting their best fight in challenging situations. The one-time editor of Simon & Schuster, Michael Corder, once said that to succeed, you must first believe that you can. As simple as the quote is, it speaks loudly. How on earth are we going to learn to lead other people if our mind frames about ourselves is, but I don't know what I'm doing, but it's too hard, but I'm a failure? As optimistic leaders, we must imagine the fullest potential that lies ahead of us. Instead of crying at home, eating Ben & Jerry's ice cream, wondering about your flaws, work on ways to improve it. Work on ways to build your self-esteem. And in the end, you have a personal journey. Along with believing in oneself, optimistic leaders stand out and look for the best within their followers. Optimists do not look at their followers and say, these people are a bunch of bozos, a lost cause, I do not deserve this, I deserve better than this. Rather, they excite and arouse others to action by helping them see, believe in, and reach for what could be. By instilling faith and love within their followers, the optimist creates a smooth journey for all of those involved. Naturally, such a mindset motivates others to continue the journey through thick and even through thin. Speaking of inspiring others, I once learned the story about a farmer who took charge of his outlook, and he did so by filling his mind with awe and gratitude. And he realized that doing this gave him the energy to work on his problems. His neighbor's outlook was vastly different. So convinced that he could instill some awe and gratitude into this hardened woman, the farmer bought a dog. Now this dog was not just any mutt. It was the most remarkable, exquisite dog the farmer could find. So he invited the woman to watch the dog perform. "Fetch," he said, as he tossed the stick into the lake, where it bobbed up and down the rippling water. The dog ran after the stick, he walked on the water, and he retrieved it. "Now what do you think of that?" asked the farmer. And his neighbor simply replies, "But he can't swim, can he?" The optimistic attitude of this farmer brings me to my last and final point. Optimistic leaders stand strong and fight their best fight in challenging situations, or all they will have worked for will go to waste. Pessimists are people who tend to believe that bad situations will last forever, that every single thing is their fault. On the other hand, the optimists who are confronted with the same hard knocks of this world take the journey and believe that it's worth dying for, that it's worth living for, that it's worth helping other people for. I decided to look my big butts in their faces, but I'm not good enough, but it's too hard for me, but everyone knows I will fail. I told them I had enough of them and that I wanted to change my life. It was then that I became my class president, that I became the speaker I am today, honored to be speaking in front of you all today. And most of all, I was able to inspire other people around me. Ladies and gentlemen, there's one thing that can never be taken away from a man. What can never be taken away from a man is the power to choose his own decisions in a given set of circumstances. That may be one of the most important decisions we will make. I never want to neglect making that choice. I am going to take the optimistic route to my journey of leadership. Let's together do the leader stand, standing up, standing out, and standing strong. By the way, there's no ifs, ands, or big buts about it. Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, may I present our 2012 West LDC Speech Contestants. Yay. I know some of you know some of their names, but now I'm going to get to tell you all of their names. So let me introduce them in alphabetical order. First, we have Hattie Baji, sponsored by the North Texas Council. Hattie, will you come up and tell us a little bit about yourself?
Okay. Hello, I'm Hattie Baji. I am from Lewisville, Texas. I go to Lewisville High School. I'm sponsored by the Lockheed Martin chapter. Things that I do on the regular basis is speech and debate. I love doing speech and debate. I've been doing it for a long time, from 5th grade up until now, so that's my life. I'm planning to go to Western Kentucky University in the fall of 2012 to be on their speech and debate team. So I'm just honored to be here with you all and to be able to speak to you all today.
Great. Our next contestant is Alexandra Caldwell. Alexandra is sponsored by the Texas Gulf Coast Council, and we'd like you to introduce yourself as well, please.
I'm Alex Caldwell, and I'm sponsored by the Bella chapter, and I'm from Brownsboro, Texas, which is a long ways away. Some of the activities that I do are speech and debate, with a few other things along with my school, such as tennis and a few other little things. But speech and debate is always something that I can rely on to be able to really put a lot of my time with. And so this is a great honor to be able to speak here in a different state and be able to sponsor my chapter and also my school.
Thank you. Our third contestant is Dulcinea Camp. Dulcinea is sponsored by the Columbia Basin Council right here in the Tri-Cities.
Hi, I'm Dulcinea Camp. I'm 15 years old. I am a homeschool student, Mother of Divine Grace, so it's kind of a private school that you do at home. I am a freshman, so I do not know where I'm going to college, and as far as I have never done a speech and debate, unlike many of these young ladies you see. So I was feeling a little odd going, no, never done it. So, but thank you very much.
Our fourth contestant is Taryn Lee Karsten. Taryn represents the Boeing Aerospace Leadership Chapter in Seal Beach, Huntington Beach, California. So Taryn, tell us a little about yourself.
Hi, as you know, I'm Taryn Carsons. I am graduating high school and I will be going to Cal State Fullerton. And as you heard in my speech, it is my dream to open my own balloon company. I would like to create a new company and create a balloon traveling. People just jump in their balloon, go to the grocery store, go to Walmart. I don't know. It's gonna happen, I don't know when. This is my first time having an experience like this, and I feel like a queen. I have my own room, eating good food, it's really great. And it's a pleasure meeting all of you guys and hearing how you got to where you are. I just love it, it's really inspiring.
Thank you. Next, we have Sanika Joshi, representing the Lockheed Martin Leadership Association in Sunnyvale, California. Sanika, tell us about yourself.
Hello everyone, I'm Sanika Joshi and I'm in 10th grade. I'm from Monte Vista High School, which is located in Cupertino, California. And I represent the Sunnyvale chapter, the Lockheed Martin Sunnyvale chapter. And I love doing speech and debate, and it's something I'm really passionate about, something I may want to pursue in the future. But other things I love doing are playing karate. I've been doing that for 6 years, and skiing. I love skiing too. So that's me.
Okay, now let's introduce Histori Spigananum.
I should have done that.
Histori is sponsored by the Southern California Valley Council. So.
Hello everyone, my name is Kasturi Sivanyanam. Speech has been something I've been doing since 5th grade. It's kind of like a passion for me. I love spreading my message and like having people willing to hear me or listen to me. At school, I attend an early college high school in Lancaster, California. Future aspirations, environmental engineer, hoping for Stanford or UC Berkeley.
Okay, and now rounding out the list, we have Audria Taylor from San Diego Area Council. Audria, you have the last word.
My last name's Taylor. I always manage to be at the bottom, but I'm from San Diego, like she mentioned, and I also do speech and debate. And I'm just so honored to be here, and I'm so thankful for NMA holding this contest, and what a great opportunity it is.
There you have it. What a fine group of champions. Thank you, guys. What a fine group of champions, and what a great job they all did this afternoon. So let's give them one more round of applause. So before we dismiss today, we have a very special presentation to make. Several years ago at an NMA national meeting, a suggestion was made by one of our newer chapter leaders that whenever NMA convenes in a city, we need to do more than just fly in and then leave. Instead, we should make a contribution to a local organization and leave a positive NMA mark or footprint in the community that we have visited. So since that time, we've been doing just that at all of our LDCs and our annual conference. So for this 2012 LDC, NMA has selected My Friend's Place. This is an overnight shelter for youth ages 13 to 17 and is the only facility of its kind in South Central Washington State. It's open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and provides meals, case management, life skills training, mental health and chemical dependency referrals, and a whole host of other services. At this time, I'd like to call on Laura Spalmer, our Community and Communications Chair from the Goodrich chapter in San Diego, to assist in the presentation. Laura will be introducing Susan DeLucci, the Executive Director of My Friend's Place. So, Laura?
Hi, well, I want to applaud all of you chapters, your members for, again, amazingly being so generous. Susan, do you want to come up and I can present this to you? I especially want to thank Brett Barnes and all the members from the Mid-Columbia Association, Leadership Association, for all your hard work and everything that you contributed to make this happen. And I am very proud to present to you a total of $2,120 in gift cards and cash.
Thank you.